Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story in which a client tried to give our OP a hard time. Instant karma. Woman with a large basket full of stuff, shopping leisurely through all the pre-closing announcements, rolls up to self-checkout 5 minutes after closing. Lights have dimmed, all other registers closed, scanning items leisurely, which is totally fine, I get paid until she's done. Changes her mind on 6 different items, and I put each in the go back pile. Some things are holiday decorations. She plays with them, turns the lights on and off. I don't want this. No, wait, I do. No, never mind. All fine, Patience is my middle name. It's my last shift on my last day of a holiday temporary job. What's a few more minutes? I'll take the extra $2. She scans a knitted hat and discovers it's snagged, says, "This hat has a snag. Would you run and get me another one? I can't leave my post, and I'm looking around for anyone else. It's now 10 minutes after closing time. Everyone's off doing their final tasks." I didn't actually have a chance to say anything before she lost her effing mind and screamed at me to get some help up there. What's wrong with me? Can't I answer her? I'm now not answering because I'm biting my tongue. But I managed to say, I can't leave my post, but she can now go get another hat if she wants. She huffs off and comes back with a replacement hat, and having had 5 minutes to think, she unleashes another tirade at me, that I owe her an apology for the terrible customer service, etc. I don't know what all. I manage an apology, but say, I was trying to figure out what to do because there isn't anyone else around to help since it's after closing. This sets her off again. She's now letting me know that she'll be taking the survey on her receipt and reporting my egregious conduct. I'm thinking, 10 years ago on my last shift of a temp job, I'd have some choice words for her, but sadly, I guess I've gone soft in my old age. She finally gets all of her items checked through and attempts to pay. First card, declined. Second card, declined. Dumps entire purse out onto the self-checkout stand and rifles through looking for a working card or some cash, hobbles together $20 of random crumpled bills. She's about $140 short. Gets out smartphone, attempts to call bank. It's 11:20 p.m. I put some strict limits on my card to prevent fraud. Guess I need to raise them. Funny, no one at the bank is working, since it's after closing for them too. Attempts to up her card limit online. I'm still silent, hopefully smiling, but it might have been changing to a smirk at this point, and I'm still getting paid. I did offer to split the payment across her cards if that would help, but she waves me off. Finally, after some lame excuse why her cards aren't working, she asks us to store her basket of items and she'll come back tomorrow and pay. At this point, my manager has joined the scene, wondering WTF is going on here, and later I find out they overheard the whole initial tirade. They roll her basket to customer service and promise to hold on to it. Hopefully no one adds or deletes anything from her cart. Wow, that'd suck, right? I'm sorry I won't be there tomorrow, and I'm sorry for my coworkers who will have to deal with her. Thanks, actually, for a spectacularly memorable ending to my holiday job. I have to say, in my couple of short months of this job, she was the only negative or irritated person I encountered, so I considered myself lucky. Karma was all my manager had to say about it. Indeed. I feel for you. Just reading that made me want to rage. And our second story. Lawyer makes post-car accident worse for his client. I used to work in the claims department for one of the top auto insurance companies in America. I get a phone call from a lawyer looking to file a new accident claim for his client. His client's also my customer. I explained that I can take the initial report from the lawyer, but will be contacting the client to get his side of the story. The lawyer immediately tells me that I'm not to contact the client because he's being represented by a lawyer. I explained that until I have an official letter of representation on file, I have every right to contact the client. So anyway, I proceed to gather all the details from the lawyer. Once I finish filing the claim, I generate a claim number and give it to the lawyer. The lawyer was stalling me a little bit, and I soon realized why. He was using the time to get an official letter of representation on file so I couldn't contact his client, also my customer. Which he did, and now I'm not able to speak to the client unless given permission by the lawyer. The lawyer was a total pompous butt and was definitely trying to throw his weight around just to show he was important. He definitely thought he was putting me in my place. He proceeds to tell me that the client has minor injuries such as back and neck pain and is going to see a doctor. I explain that the client may see whatever doctor he wishes, but that it's best to have us get in contact with his doctor of choice as soon as possible so we can start using the coverage to pay for any medical bills. The lawyer gets all huffy-puffy with me and tells me his client will go see a doctor and get all the medical help he needs, and once it's all done and over with, he'll send us a bill that we'll be required to pay in full. I explain it doesn't work that way. Some doctors require certain payments from insurance companies up front, or at least be in contact with the insurance company to confirm certain payments will be paid. I also explained that the client only had a certain amount of coverage that he pays for. We're not required as an insurance company to pay more than what the client has on his policy. For example, if the client has $10,000 in coverage, we'd only pay half of a $20,000 medical bill. I also explained that if the doctor hasn't been in contact with an insurance company, they may charge the client, and the client will have to go through a different, longer process for us to reimburse him than if we just paid the doctor up front. Now, I know this sounds like a bunch of corporate BS, and it is, but I don't make the rules. I'm really trying my hardest to make this as easy as possible for the client, but the lawyer just isn't having it at all. The lawyer demands that the client will go to whatever doctor he wants and receive whatever treatment he wants, and that we'll pay for it in full, and the client will pay nothing out of pocket regardless of the cost of the treatment. I went back and forth with the lawyer, but eventually you gotta understand that you're just going in circles, and it's just time to take the loss. So I do, and we move on to the vehicle. Lawyer says it's damaged, but the client drove the car from the accident scene straight to the lawyer's office. The windshield was damaged, and there were fluids leaking from the car. I recommend that we tow the vehicle to a repair shop. I explain the customer had towing coverage, and we can get a tow truck free of charge. The lawyer refuses and says the client can drive the car. The lawyer also demands that the client use a repair shop of his choice. I explain to the lawyer that the client is absolutely allowed to use a shop of his choice, but we have to send an adjuster out to the car to inspect the damage and give a quote to the repair shop. The reason we do this is a lot of times body shops will take advantage of insurance companies because they know we'll pay and the shops fix things that don't need to be fixed and purposely buy more expensive parts to hike up the price. It's pretty much insurance fraud, so we usually send an expert of our own out to assess the damage and write up a fair and legit repair estimate. The lawyer refuses and tells us he isn't telling us the shop that the car's going to, and once again, we'll get a bill once all the work is done, and we'll be required to pay the full bill regardless of the price. I explain that we don't cover the cost of aftermarket parts, only factory parts. It's listed in our contract. The customer agreed to this when he signed up. Once again, corporate BS, I know, but I don't make the rules, and I really am trying to help the customer out here so he doesn't have a bunch of unnecessary crap to deal with. I argued with his lawyer for a long time about how things work, and why the way he was trying to handle this was going to end up costing his client money. The lawyer was on a path of destruction and was making every possible scenario worse for the client. The lawyer wasn't having any of it, and of course threatened to sue and all that crap. I finally gave in and let the lawyer do whatever he wanted. I knew the worst-case scenario would come of this, and I figured I'd let the lawyer and client feel the consequences of their stupid decisions and the lawyer trying to assert his dominance. I let him and his client do what they thought was best. I mean, why listen to the professional, right? What ends up happening is the customer takes the car to some sketchy shop. They do exactly what we feared and jack the price way up. They put expensive aftermarket replacement parts on the car, which we don't cover. The customer had to pay out of pocket for a bunch of stuff to the repair shop. The repair shop took longer than 30 days to repair his car because the longer they had the car, the more they can charge. We only cover for 30 days for a car rental, so the client ends up paying out of pocket for a rental car too. Also, the client had to pay some out-of-pocket expenses to his doctor. We ended up reimbursing him for the doctor bills, but it was a long, drawn-out process and very frustrating. We didn't refund him for some of the expenses at the body shop, which amount to more than $1,000. In the end, the customer had a ton more out-of-pocket expenses and headaches because of his a-hole lawyer. Once the lawyer is no longer representing my customer, I'll send the customer a letter advising them that their lawyer's advice was against their best interest and suggest a legal malpractice attorney. And our last story. Give me that table. This happened in the early 1990s. I went to elementary school with a girl whose family owned a successful small chain of Greek diners in town. We'll call her Tanya. When we started high school together, her family let her have a small lunch party at a location by our school that was also in a very wealthy neighborhood. We were 14, all gangly elbows and giggles, while Tanya graciously ferried our orders of mostly French fries to and from the table to keep one of the waitresses from being bogged down with a non-tipping private party of sugared-up teens. In walks entitled woman, hereafter known as EW, who marches straight up to the hostess and announces she will need their biggest table for her family's lunch. The diner was hopping as it was prime lunchtime, so the hostess told EW that it'd be at least a 30-minute wait for an 8-top. EW launched into a tirade about her family is parking and the hostess has a maximum of 5 minutes to find her and her family a table, or she'd be calling her personal friend, the manager, to get her fired. The hostess is stunned and tries to stammer out something apologetic, but EW just walks past her to survey the tables. She spots our little group in the back and immediately tells the hostess to clear out those stupid kids and reset the table for her family. The hostess refuses and tells EW she'll have to wait like everyone else. EW loses it, screaming at how she'll have everyone fired. It's gone dead silent and everyone is staring at her. EW's family is starting to filter in behind her and looks confused. Probably feeling emboldened by having backup, EW proceeds to march over to our table and snatch baskets of fries and drinks off the table and throw them in the nearby bus cart, yelling at us that we're done wasting the restaurant's money and that it's time to go. Most of us just cringed away from her, looking confused, but Tanya, still carrying a basket of fries, got right in her face and told her to go away and stop being rude. EW was waiting for this apparently and chose to double down. She pulled out her ace card. "Do you know who I am?" and claimed to be the owner's mother right to Tanya's face and tell her she can kiss her little waitressing job goodbye. Tanya stares this feckless cow down without looking away and says, "Hey Dad, Yaya is here to see you." Her dad pops his head out of the kitchen, looking alarmed. "I hope not. She's been dead for 6 years." Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.